The Tomorrow War is surprisingly similar to Interstellar. The movie starts in the year 2022, where humans still use wired earphones, mailboxes, and still don't have flying cars.
My disappointment is immeasurable, and my day is ruined.
It's the final match of the World Cup when suddenly a group of soldiers from the future... Hold on a sec here, is that Brazil in the final match of the World Cup? That's never gonna happen because I don't actually know anything about football. And that was my attempt at making a sports joke to have a wider appeal to my non-existent sports audience. Sports jokes, moving on. It's the final match of the World Cup when suddenly a group of soldiers from the future get transported to the middle of the field, completely ruining the final World Cup match. But it's okay because Brazil was never gonna win anyway. Sports jokes. The soldiers came from the future to warn the people that aliens are coming and they need every person to fight a losing war taking place in the year 2048. It's up to Chris Prat, who is a former member of the Guardians of the Galaxy and also a former member of the Parks and Recreations crew, to save the world from aliens.
Okay, something is different about my computer. Aha! It's gone.
The Tomorrow War is a pretty fun action movie, and it's surprisingly similar to one of my favorite movies of all time, Interstellar.
Love is the one thing we're capable of perceiving that transcends dimensions of time and space.
But it's not so much that they have a similar plot. What's similar about these movies is their main characters, Dan and Cooper. The Tomorrow War is obviously a much simpler story than Interstellar. They're different movies made for different audiences. Also, one is a masterpiece, the other is that Chris Pratt action movie with aliens. Both movies also use the element of time to not only affect the plot, but also show how time impacts each character's relationships. So let's talk about the parallels and differences between the main characters of the Tomorrow War and Interstellar, Dan and Cooper. If you're enjoying this video so far, hit the like button to help me out with the YouTube algorithms, and if you're new to this channel, subscribe and hit the bell notification icon for more content. Both Dan and Cooper have a similar premise. In the Tomorrow War, Dan is an ex-military high school teacher and has a daughter named Murray who wants to be a scientist. In Interstellar, Cooper is an ex-NASA pilot and full-time farmer. He has a daughter named Murph who wants to be a scientist. Cooper gets called in by NASA to head on a mission to space to save the world. His daughter Murph doesn't want him to go, but he goes anyway. Dan also gets called in to head on a mission, but his mission is to get transported into the future to save the world. His daughter Murray doesn't want him to go, but he goes anyway. For both Dan and Cooper, providing a better future for their families is their motivation to go on a mission to save the world. So both characters have a similar premise and similar motivations. Ultimately though, Dan's character is a much more traditional action hero than Cooper. He comes off more like a modern day Rambo. He's a nerdy high school teacher turned action hero. He's got a hot wife, looks good naked, is ex-military, has abs, fights aliens, and saves the world. And seriously, he looks really good naked. His attempt at getting his dream job and failing it early on in the movie helps make him more relatable, but then we see him do shit like this. Single-handedly taking down aliens with no fear, no hesitation, no help, Rambo style. Which isn't exactly in line with his character, since someone with a wife and daughter would probably be a bit more risk-averse, but it's okay because the Tomorrow War is much more of an action movie than Interstellar. Cooper's character, on the other hand, is a lot more relatable and is more consistent throughout. He's a retired ex-NASA pilot that runs a farm with his family. He's enjoying the simple life of raising cows and growing corn. His previous experience with NASA and his critical thinking skills is what helps him move forward and solve problems. Whereas with Dan's character, although he does use his military experience to lead his team and shoot aliens, he shows no fear fighting these absolutely terrifying aliens. He doesn't mind going off on his own to fight these creatures, to the point where he literally tackles one using nothing but his body weight. All that is less in line with his ex-military background and is instead more in line with the traditional fearless action hero. A big part of both movies is the element of time. Time changes Dan's relationship with Murray and Cooper's relationship with Murph. In the Tomorrow War, time strengthens Dan's relationship with his daughter after Dan goes to the future and meets a grown-up version of Murray that's now become a scientist. Eventually, Murray tells Dan that after he comes back to the present, he changes and something happens where he leaves his family behind and finds out that his daughter grows up without a father. In Interstellar, the element of time is used differently from a plot standpoint, but achieves a similar result from a character standpoint. Cooper gets gets stuck on a planet where time moves significantly faster for every minute they're there. By the time he gets back to his ship, he realizes that back on Earth 23 years have passed and finds out that his daughter grew up without a father. What's surprisingly similar about this part of the story is that in the Tomorrow War, Dan's daughter growing up without a father isn't a timeline that Dan experiences himself. He's told that this is what happened by an older version of Murray after he's transported to the future. Things play out in a similar way in Interstellar. From Cooper's perspective, only a few hours had passed when he was stuck on that weird planet. It's only after he leaves the planet and boards the ship to watch the messages his family sent him that he realizes a lot of time has passed and his daughter ended up growing up without a father. Just like how from Dan's perspective, no time has passed from him jumping from the present to the future, so he doesn't actually experience being away from his daughter. Cooper's perspective is the same in that he doesn't actually experience the amount of time he's been away from his daughter. The main difference between these two movies is that Dan goes back to the present to save the world and change his timeline so that his daughter doesn't end up growing up without a father. The movie implies that Dan was successful at saving the world and saving his relationship with his daughter. In Interstellar, Cooper's daughter growing up without her father is the timeline that Cooper is in. Unlike Dan, where the movie implies that he went back to the present and ends up changing his timeline. Just like Dan, Cooper also goes back in time and figures out a way to slip into an event horizon and finds the exact time where he was about to leave Murph to go to space. He communicates to Murph through Morse code to tell his past self to stay. Although in the Tomorrow War, the movie implies that Dan was successful at changing the past and saves his relationship with his daughter, Cooper in Interstellar fails to change the past and fails to save his relationship with his daughter. Time in the Tomorrow War helps Dan strengthen his relationship with Murray since he sees that she eventually becomes a really smart and successful scientist and wants to do everything he can to protect her and her future. In Interstellar, time completely destroys Cooper's relationship with Murph until Cooper eventually spends time with Murph in her last moments being alive. I want to reiterate that generally speaking, the Tomorrow War and Interstellar are different movies with different characters. And I'm sure you can find tons of similarities with a lot of movies if you look into it. I really did enjoy the Tomorrow War, and I just thought it was interesting how the main character is surprisingly similar to someone I've seen before. Also, I rewatched Interstellar like a couple of months ago, so maybe that's why I ended up making the connection between these two movies. Let me know your thoughts on the Tomorrow War in the comment section below. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace out.